The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates reveal fans want to know, is Tracy Abbott leaving the show? She's headed back to New York City, and her sister Ashley Abbott is going with her. The latest episode showcased Tracy grappling with the consequences of discovering that Alan Laurent was actually his sinister twin, Martin Laurent. To make matters worse, Martin was the mastermind behind the abductions of Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman. Following conversations with both Sharon and Phyllis, Tracy chose a course of action that her brother, Jack Abbott, strongly disagreed with. Tracy feels it's necessary to remove herself from Genoa City in order to recover from the turmoil surrounding the Alan and Martin situation. Ashley, who has recently come back to town, will be accompanying Tracy and intends to be the supportive presence that Tracy can rely on, which is wonderful news. Tracy will be stepping away from the scene in New York City to focus on writing a book, seeking a break from the recent turmoil in her life. She won't be going through this alone, but for fans it's disappointing since Ashley, Jack, and Tracy had just reunited, and we were looking forward to more of their sibling interactions. Will Tracy make a comeback on Y&R? The silver lining for her fans is that she often makes guest appearances on the show as a recurring character. Unfortunately, Tracy has been somewhat sidelined for years, primarily appearing to support her family. Even her romance with Alan mostly unfolded off-screen. While many fans hoped for Tracy to achieve her fairy tale ending, the storyline felt somewhat lackluster until a shocking twist left her heartbroken. It's uncertain when Tracy will rejoin the action. The CBS soap currently boasts a packed cast, with multiple storylines gaining momentum, so her return will depend on how she fits into these narratives. Regardless, Tracy is expected to come back for the grand reveal of the newly renovated Abbott Mansion, once Diane Abbott completes her redesign of the family home. Additionally, Danny Romalotti and Christine Blair are set to return this summer, which could coincide with Tracy's comeback to Genoa City. The rich history among the three friends makes their on-screen reunions a delight for viewers. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of April 21 to 25 reveal that Michael Baldwin will face a traitor dilemma while Summer Newman digs for answers. Kyle Abbott will also suspect trouble, so let's talk about what's in store. Thanks to Diane Jenkins Abbott and the compromising situation she'll put Michael in, he may feel backed into a corner. Although Michael considers Diane a friend, the last thing he wants to do is leave Victor Newman feeling betrayed again. It took some serious work for Michael to regain Victor's trust, so he surely won't be interested in demolishing it once more. Diane may test the limits of Michael's loyalty as part of her own plan with Jack Abbott, but will he stay faithful to Victor in the end? Regardless, the Abbott-Newman hostility may soon be worse than ever. Jack and Victor's feud shows no signs of slowing down, so there should be some big developments happening in the week ahead. Victor has multiple schemes going at the same time, so let's shift gears and discuss how he plans to use Audra Charles. Audra has been tasked with derailing Kyle and Claire Newman's relationship, but she seems overconfident in her abilities. Since Audra will keep dropping hints to Kyle about the competition that's looming, he may eventually get updates on the new company she's forming. Will Kyle learn Victor's behind it and suspect he's using Audra as another way to stir the pot? Audra will have to be careful, or she could overplay her hand here. There will be a lot on the line for Audra as she puts all the pieces in place and sets a trap to make Kyle look unworthy of Claire. Of course, Summer is sure to notice once Audra's hanging around Kyle more often and pushing his buttons. You can bet Summer will wonder what's going on, so there's a good chance she'll investigate what Audra's really up to. By getting too close to Kyle, Audra could attract some unwanted attention from Summer. Speaking of unwanted attention, Holden Novak will once again get flirty with Audra. Although Audra will do her best to keep Holden from making waves in her current relationship, Nate Hastings may grow increasingly fed up with her former flame. Across town, Daniel Romalotti Jr. will seek Tessa Porter's help with a fun project, so it'll be interesting to see what these two cook up. As for Damian Kane, he seems poised to surrender to Lily Winter's plan and put his job at risk to fish for more Aristotle Dumas info. However, Devin Winters should have lingering questions about whether Damian can truly be trusted. Finally, Billy Abbott will prepare for a meeting with Aristotle, but will someone else show up in this mystery man's place? Since Victor made a prediction about Billy falling into a trap, Y and R fans will soon see if Victor gets proven right. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the week of April 21 to 25 will bring some curveballs, so stay tuned for all the shocking news and heated confrontations. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, April 17, reveal that Victor Newman will stick with his vengeful plans, while Diane Jenkins Abbott and Jack Abbott play defense. Nikki Newman will also deal with a mess. So let's talk about what's coming up on Thursday's I and R episode. For starters, Victor will refuse to back down when it comes to his feud with the Abbotts. Despite Michael Baldwin's repeated attempts to convince Victor that he should just move on, Victor will remain as vindictive as ever. That'll put Nikki in a tight spot as she struggles to play peacemaker on Thursday's show. Nikki doesn't like all the constant clashing between Victor and Jack, nor does she like Victor's disdain for Kyle Abbott and how that's affecting Claire Newman. Unfortunately, Nikki won't be able to stop the drama that Victor set in motion. Since Victor insists on going after revenge, the Abbotts clearly have no choice but to fight back and try to protect Jebot. That's why Jack and Kyle have cooked up a plot to use Elliot Matheson as a double agent. Matheson could play a crucial role in helping Kyle and Jack gain the upper hand, but there's always the potential for this scheme to backfire. Regardless, Jack will have a strategy session with Diane on Thursday's episode as they work to defend themselves against whatever Victor might throw at them next. Diane has been feeling like an Abbott family outsider, but Jack wants her to feel valued and included. Perhaps roping Diane into some strategizing will establish her as a true part of the inner Abbott circle. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Jack and Diane will make some predictions about the next phase of their conflict with Victor. It's important to think a few steps ahead and try to get the upper hand. Of course, Victor isn't someone who lets people gain an advantage over him for long, so he could get updates on some shady Abbott news and strike back soon enough. CDL will have other scorching Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates to check out, so make us your one-stop Y and R source. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what is coming up next. At Nate's place, Audra isn't surprised at his reaction to her news, but is still disappointed he can't even celebrate with her. Nate points out that was what this whole night was about, buttering him up. She wanted to put him in a good mood for telling him she's going back to working for the man who fired her in the first place. What does he get out of this? He prods, "What is it? What does he want from you?" Audra goes on about how Victor was impressed with her work at Glissade. Nate says, "So impressed he fired you." Audra says he realized he made a mistake. Nate argues that isn't Victor. He must have an agenda. Did he give you any stipulations? Audra claims the offer didn't include anything she wasn't willing to entertain. Nate doesn't understand, and of this, she hates Victor. Audra says an offer hasn't come from anyone else. She's excited to be her own boss again and pleads with him not to rain on her parade. He just can't believe Victor has no caveats. He's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. Audra insists he wants her to build him a new, legitimate company. She'll get an ironclad contract and Nate can check it over. Nate just wishes there was another way. She knows he's just trying to protect her, but she wants him to be happy for her. Nate apologizes to Audra for his reaction to her news not being what she hoped for. She just wants to celebrate with him. She found something to give her purpose again. Nate wants to make it up to her with a nightcap at the jazz lounge, but asks her to please be careful with Victor. In every deal, he wants something for himself, and you often never see it coming. Michael joins Victor in the club dining room. The mustache senses something bad has happened. Michael tells him one of their spies in Jabat has gone radio silent. He thinks he regrets trying to get more money from them, or someone got to him and shut him up. Michael promises to take care of it, then pivots to Aristotle Dumas. There's a meeting scheduled between him and Billy Abbott next week. He doesn't know what form it will take. Victor can't understand why someone of Dumas' stature would meet with Billy Boy. Michael thinks Billy must have something he wants, but he's not sure what. Abbott Communications isn't off the ground and wouldn't even register on Dumas' radar. Victor wants to let it play out and see if Billy will fall into a trap Dumas is setting for him. At Jabat, Jack and Kyle take a meeting with Elliot Matheson, who wonders why he's been summoned to the CEO office. Jack says they want to be sure he's settled in from Glissade. Jack asks him about his inquiries about their new product, considering he's not in R&D. Matheson is always looking to help the company. Kyle asks, help whose company exactly? They explain that they know he met with Michael Baldwin, who works for Victor Newman. The man asks what they want. Kyle says he has two options. He can resign immediately and never work in the industry again, or accept a lucrative role as a double agent for the Abbotts. Matheson agrees to tell them what he knows, but he needs assurance that he'll be compensated. Jack agrees, but Kyle warns him against betraying them again. After Matheson has told them everything he knows, they let him leave. Kyle thanks him for making the right decision. Jack and Kyle congratulate each other on pulling that off. Jack urges his son to take the rest of the night off. He earned it. Kyle has to meet Claire and reveals that he asked her to move in with him. Jack says it's a pretty big step. He makes it clear she's welcome to live in the Abbott house once the renovations are finished. Kyle appreciates that, but they may find a place of their own. Jack learns that Claire is thinking about it. Victor's disdain is standing in the way of their relationship. Jack hates this and tells Kyle that everyone else, including Nikki, is in favor of it. Claire walks into the jazz lounge and spots Holden. Smiling to herself, she strolls over and asks if he's drinking a Vesper. She reminds him he turned her on to them. He remembers. She says it's become her go-to. Holden asks if she cared to join him for one right now. Claire says she'll pass. She's waiting for her boyfriend. Holden wasn't trying to make a move. He just didn't want her to drink alone. He asks her name, and she tells him she's Claire Newman. He introduces himself as Holden Novak. He asks if she's from Victor Newman's family. She is, but is just getting used to it. Holden wants to hear her story. Claire fills Holden in on being taken from her parents as a baby and only meeting the Newmans recently. This reminds Holden of Damien's situation. He lived his entire life thinking one thing about himself, only to find out it wasn't true. Claire learns he's now in Genoa City reconnecting with family. They chat more and Holden tells her he misses Los Angeles. She asks if he's staying to support his friend. He confides that there are personal reasons he wants to stay too. At Society, Lily blows Damien's mind by telling him she had twins. He finds the idea frightening. She laughs that she survived and now they're loving, kick-ass adults. Damien says they sound like their mother. He thanks her for having dinner with him, and she thanks him for his honesty about Dumas. Damien's grateful they finally have their cards on the table. She asks if he'll help her find out what Dumas wants in Genoa City. Damien doesn't have an answer for her yet. He'd like to help, but it's not that simple. It puts him in a precarious situation with his boss. She argues that Dumas' agenda could put him at risk. He doesn't question Dumas. She accuses him of being a yes man. Can't he be discreet and find out what she's looking for? Diane says that could put his position in jeopardy. Lily understands. She doesn't want to get him in trouble. Diane laughs and shakes his head. I find it hard to turn you down. I don't like the feeling. Lily would be grateful if he said yes. He squints that this would be a big gamble for him. He needs time to figure out a strategy. Lily grins. Devin appears at the door of society and looks like he smelled something bad when he clocks Lily with Diane. Abby joins him and asks who the handsome man is with Lily. Devin says that's Nate's half-brother, Damian Kane. They walk over to say hello. Lily asks Abby about her trip to Europe and then introduces her to Damian, who compliments the restaurant. He tells Lily he should get going and exits. Devin asks if Lily would like to tell him what that was all about. Lily senses judgment coming from Devin. He just can't understand why she was with Damian when she told him he was untrustworthy. Lily first asks Abby about Tracy. Abby brings them into the loop on Martin Laurent. It makes her sick to his stomach. Lily is aghast and will reach out to Tracy. Devin's happy that everyone is safe. Abby says her mom and Tracy are going to New York for a while. Lily pivots to telling Damian about her kids. Devin asks why she's telling him about her personal life when they don't trust the guy. Is that what we're doing? Lily snips that she hasn't told him everything about her life and doesn't appreciate the tone. She fills them in on what Damian told her about Dumas. She asked him if he would help her find out what Dumas is up to. Devin gripes. Why would she do that when he could just turn around and tell Dumas that she's snooping around? Abby interjects that she needs more information. Devin says there's a chance Damian and Dumas may have looked into their business and family before he met Nate. Abby says, so Damian may have known about Nate's existence, that he had a half-brother. Lily says he insists that's not true. Devin asks why she'd just take his word for it. Lily's changed her mind about him. Devin questions her having one conversation with the guy and suddenly believing everything he has to say. Do you really feel comfortable asking him to be a spy for you? Lily gets that Devin is confused and grumpy, but assures him she has her guard up. Damian is determined to convince her she's wrong about him. Devin's not surprised, since he's clearly into her. Lily is trying to be proactive where Dumas is concerned. They have to be prepared if he has his eye on Winters. If Damian wants to prove he's not a threat, they should put him to the test. Devin fears that Damian has gotten to Lily. She wants to give him this opportunity because it's become personal. She feels a pull to him like he does to her. Lily denies it. That's not what this is about. Her only goal is to protect her family. Damian's not going anywhere, so why not put him to work? Devin learns he's thinking about it, and is less suspicious than if he'd readily agreed. Abby thinks Lily's plan makes sense. Lily pleads with Devin to work with her on this. Jack and Kyle walk into the club and spot Victor and Michael dining. Kyle asks his dad if he wants to join him and Claire in the jazz lounge. Jack says he has something to take care of. Kyle asks if he'll stir up trouble. Jack says no more than those two already have. Kyle asks if he wants backup. Jack says he's got this. Kyle trusts him to handle Victor without blowing their plan. Jack sidles up to Victor and Michael's table and chortles about the new high-end tequila at the bar. Michael notes he seems to be in a good mood. Did anything in particular happen today? Jack says, thank you for asking. Gee, where do I start? Jack says life is good, his family is good, and he and Kyle had a productive day at the office today. After he walks away, Victor tells Michael that Abbott is trying to pretend everything's going well. Michael says maybe things are going well, and they should let go of this war. Victor's not interested. Bring it on. In the lounge, Kyle's surprised to see Claire deep in conversation with Holden and laughing. He joins her and apologizes for keeping her waiting. Claire tells him she and Holden were just sharing life stories. She introduces Holden and Kyle officially and says Holden is her new friend. Kyle looks unimpressed, but is polite. Holden is about to exit when Nate and Audra walk in. He asks about her surprise. Nate explains he overheard when she called him to come home. Audra tells Holden it went well. Holden leaves and Nate grumbles that the guy can't get enough of her. They kiss and then spot Kyle and Claire. Audra walks over to warn Kyle that he's about to get some new competition. He feels she's trying to bait him. Audra says he'll just want to get ready. After they walk off, Claire asks what that was about. Kyle has no idea, but thinks is sure it will soon become clear. Is Lily Winters falling head over heels for the wrong man? After that warm and slightly flirty dinner with Diane at Society on Wednesday, April 16, Diane is starting to wonder if Lily's heart is tangled up in a dangerous game on Young and the Restless. She opened up about her life, her twins, and her past. She looked positively content, and when Diane said helping her go up against Dumas would be risky, Lily didn't push, she understood. That's not just strategy, that's sympathy, or maybe something more. So now the real question is, what if Diane is right? Diane didn't hide his concern. He clocked Damien's exit and immediately went into protective big brother mode. Lily tried to explain that she was only digging into Diane to get to the truth about Dumas, but Diane wasn't buying it. And honestly, he might have a point. If Lily is falling and Diane is playing her, this could blow up fast. He could be feeding her just enough charm to keep her off balance while reporting everything back to Dumas. Lily thinks she's pulling strings, but what if she's the one being manipulated? That dinner might have looked romantic, but what if it was calculated? What if Diane even complimented Abby's restaurant and made nice with Diane just to keep suspicions low? The more Lily lowers her guard, the easier it becomes for Diane to twist the story in Dumas's favor. If Diane turns out to be a snake, and Lily let him in too close, there's no doubt Diane will say I told you so. But worse than that, Lily's heart will take a hit. She's no amateur when it comes to love, but with blurred emotions paired with their undeniable chemistry, her guard is down, and that's a recipe for regret. And yet, there's still a chance Diane could surprise us. Maybe he does have a soft spot for Lily. Or maybe she's the one person who could convince him to switch sides. But if he's playing her, Lily could end up betrayed, blindsided, and back at square one. The Young and the Restless recap for Wednesday, April 16, sees Audra give Kyle a warning. Plus, Victor disregards Michael's advice, Kyle and Jack deal with a spy, and Diane isn't thrilled about Lily's friendship with Diane. At the penthouse, Audra wasn't surprised that Nate was unhappy about her decision to work for Victor again. Nate wondered why she would subject herself to Victor's manipulations. He also wanted to know what Victor stood to gain. They argued about the games Victor tended to play, and Nate was skeptical of his motives. Audra explained that the offer hadn't included anything she wasn't willing to consider, but Nate still had doubts. She told him not to rain on her parade and insisted that Victor only wanted to make use of her talents. Nate didn't want her to feel unsupported, but he admitted he didn't trust the Newmans. Audra said she didn't either and assured him she would review the contract carefully. Nate wanted to look it over himself. Audra was happy that she had finally found something that gave her purpose. Nate offered to take her for a nightcap and warned her to be cautious around Victor. She promised she would be. Meanwhile, at Society, Lily dined with Diane. She talked about raising twins and how well they turned out. Diane thanked her for dinner and her honesty about his boss, Dumas. Lily asked if he would help her uncover what Dumas wanted in Genoa City. Diane couldn't give her an answer yet. He said it would be risky and could jeopardize his standing. Lily understood and didn't want him to get into trouble. Diane didn't like refusing her but needed time to consider a strategy. Devin showed up and noticed Lily and Diane together. Abby joined him. They went to the table, and Diane complimented Abby's restaurant. After telling Lily he would be in touch, he left. Devin immediately asked Lily what was going on. Lily deflected by asking Abby for an update on Tracy. Abby shared details about the Alan/Martin situation. When Lily mentioned discussing her twins with Diane, Devin asked why she would reveal personal details to someone she barely knew. Lily told him to drop the tone and explain she was asking Diane to help uncover Dumas's motives. Devin thought this was a bad move. Abby was confused, so Lily and Devin recapped their suspicions about Diane. Lily admitted she had started to change her mind about him, which frustrated Devin. He accused her of falling for Diane, but she denied it, rolling her eyes. Abby said she wouldn't blame her if she did and agreed that Lily's plan to test Diane made sense. At Gibot, Kyle brought Elliot into Jack's office. Elliot didn't know why he was there, but Jack questioned his unusual interest in a new product despite not being part of R&D. Kyle accused him of spying for Victor through Michael. They gave Elliot a choice: resign or become a double agent. Elliot denied everything at first, but eventually agreed to cooperate. Kyle warned him that any betrayal would have dire consequences. After Elliot shared what he knew, Jack and Kyle thanked him. Jack was impressed by how Kyle handled the situation and told him to take the rest of the night off. Kyle said he and Claire might be moving in together, which pleased Jack. Although Jack offered to let them live in the Abbott house, Kyle said they might want their own place. Claire hadn't agreed yet, and Victor's disapproval still bothered her. At the GCAC, Michael told Victor that one of their spies at Gibot had gone dark. Victor wanted the informant pulled if he couldn't be trusted. Michael also mentioned that Billy had a meeting set with Dumas. They suspected a trap and wanted to know about Dumas's interest in Billy. Jack and Kyle showed up, and Jack confronted Victor and Michael, proudly hinting at his successful day. After he left, Victor scoffed, but Michael advised letting the feud go. Victor refused and defiantly said, "Bring it on." Claire ran into Holden at the Jazz Lounge. He reminded her he'd introduced her to the Vesper cocktail, and they chatted. After realizing they didn't even know each other's names, they introduced themselves. Holden was surprised to learn she was a Newman. She told him about being kidnapped and raised by a psychopath. Holden shared that his boss recently learned life-changing news too. Their conversation was light and honest until Kyle arrived and noticed them together. Claire explained they had just been talking and introduced the two men. Kyle shook Holden's hand reluctantly. As Holden left, he ran into Nate and Audra. Audra and Nate kissed before noticing Kyle and Claire nearby. Audra confidently warned Kyle to prepare himself. He was about to face some competition. Will the real Aristotle Dumas please stand up? For weeks now, we've heard about the elusive Aristotle Dumas on The Young and the Restless. Supposedly, Diane told Lily the truth about Dumas yesterday, but was it really the truth? We can't stop thinking about it. At first, Holden showed up in town, and he pretended to be Diane. Then, oopsie, that wasn't Diane. The real Diane showed up, and it seemed he might have been Dumas himself. However, yesterday, Diane told Lily that he suspected Aristotle Dumas was a front. She wondered why Diane would work for such a person, and Diane said he'd made up some fake credentials and tried to better his life by working for Dumas. So, who is Dumas really? It seems to be somebody with ties to Genoa City. The person also seems to be somebody that the great Victor Newman doesn't know, which is a surprise. But does Victor truly not know Dumas, or does he just not know who's behind Dumas? There are a few possibilities about how Dumas could be. Perhaps Dumas is Victor himself, but that seems awfully convoluted, even for the mustache. It's possible Jack could be playing games. But we don't think he's had much time for that between Diane changing up the Abbott mansion and Tracy's drama with Alan/Martin. Tucker sure hightailed it out of Genoa City a while back. He showed up with great fanfare, but then his schemes and plans never really got off the ground. Considering the Holden and Audra, we could see Dumas being Tucker. Perhaps that seemingly out-of-the-blue connection is a clue. Of course, Lily is also awfully involved, which makes us wonder if Dumas is Kane Ashby. He's been gone for a while, and so has his biological father, Colin Atkinson. It would also make sense for Kane to try to contact Billy to work at Chancellor, given his convoluted connection to Billy's mother. We could see Kane roaring back into Genoa City with this new scheme, and perhaps Kane will even bring his son Sam within. Surely that kiddo is a teen by this point. Jack and Diane close ranks. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, April 17, go back to the well-known Victor hates the Abbotts and has a brilliant plan to bring them all down, again. Of course, Diane and Jack have no intention of lying down and taking this latest attack, and even Nikki is beginning to doubt her husband's oft-proclaimed infallible brilliance. Victor doesn't like it when the world doesn't turn exactly as he demands it to. That would be a world where everyone does what Victor says, and the people he doesn't like to drop dead. Well, no, if they dropped dead, they wouldn't be able to tell Victor how right he'd been, so he needs them alive, but humbled, and sorry, so sorry. To make that happen, really, Victor doesn't understand why something so simple and obvious has taken so long. Victor has a new plan to bring down the Abbotts. It's brilliant, it can't fail, and if it does, it will always be someone else's fault. Victor accepts Diane and Jack to go down without a fight. Who, after all, could stand up to Victor's perfection? Diane and Jack plan to fight back. They're committed to being a united front. Like the time they completely tricked both Victor and Kyle. Victor assumes he and Nikki are also ride or die. But are they? Nikki hates Diane, but she does care about Jack. And she knows Victor's current vendetta against him is literally insane. Sharon could reunite with an unexpected ex on Y and R. Sharon has been single for a while on The Young and the Restless. The show has been hinting at a possible reunion with her ex-husband Nick. However, it might be another ex she'll get back together with. The past year has been tough on Sharon, but now that her troubles are over, she's ready to get back to her normal life and concentrate on the future. And her future might include romance. Sharon still carries a torch for Nick and broached the topic of them getting back together. However, Nick put the kibosh on a chic reunion, so they're destined to remain friends. Since Nick is out of the picture, it might be time for Sharon to reconsider a reunion with another ex, Chance. Sharon and Chance briefly dated, but broke up when the relationship became serious. Chance then began a romance with Summer, who had a crush on the detective. However, Chance's police work tested the couple's relationship. After a brief split, they reunited, but broke up when Chance realized Summer still loved Kyle. With Chance newly single, Sharon is the woman who could mend his broken heart. Sharon is the go-to person whenever Genoa City residents have a problem. It won't be long until Chance comes to Crimson Lights to discuss his breakup. Sharon will lend a sympathetic ear as Chance talks about Summer. Her comfort will mean a lot to Chance, and it might reignite sparks between the exes. Although Sharon believed she wasn't the right choice for Chance, she'll rethink her decision. Her recent life-or-death ordeals will have her realizing what's important. She deserves love and happiness, and Chance could be the one to give it to her.